Hello, my name is Daniel and this is my time trial and triathlon bike, my Felt IA1 that I've built from the ground up, have custom painted. It's the bike of my dreams, to be honest. In a couple of days, I'm going to be racing Challenge Roth, so I wanted to talk through what my bike spec and setup is going to be ahead of the full distance triathlon. It is a 112 mile bike ride, so I do need to make sure that everything is thought through and planned out and is going to work for me on the day. I have made a few changes to the bike in the last few weeks, so I'm going to get stuck into it and talk you through it. Thanks to Zone 3 for sorting me out with an entry to Challenge Roth. I'll be very, very grateful, especially around the 90 mile mark on the bike, I am sure, but let's get stuck in. So it's a Felt IA1. I've had it custom painted in a candy blue and the black lettering's got a nice little rainbow fleck in it, but that doesn't actually make me any faster. These other bits do. Group set, I've got a SRAM Red ETAP 11 speed 1x group set. That is a mouthful. Now the only sponsored part on this bike is the drivetrain, so I have an NRG wax chain and some ceramic bearing jockey wheels. Now I would buy this product even if I wasn't sponsored. I know you'd think people say that anyway, but genuinely a wax chain and some ceramic bearings are genuine performance enhancers. It's a small margin, you know, there's drivetrain efficiency is a small gain, but I'm going to take every little gain that I've got. That's part of the reason why I've got a bigger chain ring, so I can spend more time in the middle of the block rather than at the top or the bottom for that drivetrain efficiency. Now, for Challenge Roth, in an ideal world, I would have perhaps swapped this for a 56, but to be honest, 1x chain rings aren't cheap, and I wasn't just going to buy one just for that one specific event, so the 58 will be fine. It's probably a little bit over geared for, there's the Solar Hill, which is quite a steep hill, so I hear that you do twice, but I think I'll be okay. I've got a windmill hill in it in Cork, so I should be okay getting around, and maybe that's something I'll consider for the future. The 1130 does give me quite a decent range on the back. Now, moving up to the wheels, I have a Walker Brothers wheel set. I bought all these second-hand. I bought the rear disc second-hand and the front, the tri-spoke clearance from Walker Brothers, I think. Both set up tubeless and both with Continental Grand Prix 5000 time trial tyres, the ones that Ghana uses apparently, so I'm a sucker for that. But in my mind, I want some tyres that are fast but also you know, puncture resistant. I've previously used Corsa Speeds and I have punctured them a couple of times on my other bike, so it makes me worry a little bit for this bike in a race. So plenty of sealant in there. Got a spare tube and CO2s in my spares box, and this is about as prepared as I can be. I'll run them at about 70 or 80 psi on race day. The wheels themselves, the disc wheel, we know disc wheels are fast. To be honest, I don't think there's much difference between different disc wheels. Happy to be proven wrong in the comment section down below. But that tri-spoke, I've wind tunnel tested that. It is faster than a mid-section front wheel for me on my bike, so it looks cool as well, doesn't it? So that's the wheel set. Onto the cockpit, it is just a Planet X base bar cockpit into a Watt Shop adjustable spacers and plates and armrests, drag to zero extensions, and then drag to zero sort of moulded grips on the end. I find that the position works for me. I'm pretty used to it now. It's pretty aggressive in terms of how narrow it is, but especially on rolling courses like Roth, I'll be in and out of position quite a lot, so that means I can have a more aggressive time trial position, and it's also just down to what you're comfortable with, and I've spent a fair bit of time on this bike in the last few weeks, so I am comfortable with it. The armrests are really good at holding you in securely, so I feel like really safe on that. Moving up to tech, I have a Project 76 mount in between the extensions. Thank you Project 76 for hooking me up with this a couple of weeks ago. I paid for it as normal, but I ordered the wrong one. I put a comment on the order just checking that it was the right one, and they were very friendly and said, no it's not, you moron, you need to have this one. Didn't say you moron, so sorted me out with the right one. That enables me to have my Wahoo Element bolt in between the bars, and then I can also mount a GoPro under the computer if I want to as well in some events. Moving backwards, let's talk about hydration and nutrition, and I really want to underestimate how stiff this is going to make me. I use this in the frame. A lot of people ask about this. This is an S-Works Shiv, the version 1 Shiv fuselage. It's a bladder essentially, and I fit that in there and I run the tube up between the extensions, I tape it to the armrest, and then there's a magnetic bit that the sort of, you know, bladder little nipple thing sits on, and that enables me to fuel on the go. I can top it up on the way around as well. It holds about 700 ml of fluid, so it's just like having a bottle. That top tube mount is like a custom 3D printed top tube mount. It is available on Shapeaway, so I didn't commission it. It is like for sale retail. You do lose the top tube nutrition storage, but I find I'm better having that hydration there than I'm nutrition. The tri-suit I'm using, the Zone 3 Aeroforce AX2, it's got quite big pockets, so I can fit a lot of gels and stuff in there. I will also use the X-Lab Gorilla bottle cage behind the saddle. I have only lost a bottle out of this once in the time of using it, and so I hear the roads in Roth are pretty smooth, so I'm hoping that what I'll be able to do is set out with 2 bottles of my own fluid, drink the bladder first, fill up with my own fluid from the back, and then just pick up bottles on course. I might just pick up water, tip some on me and drink some. I might pick up some of the on-course nutrition. I'm just going to see how I get on with it. Onto other related tech, so power and pacing. Now this is something I have had to change, but I haven't properly changed it yet, or I'm not going to before Roth. I've got a Roth 2-in crank-based power meter, and I had used that for the early part of this year, but for whatever reason it's been playing up. It's either dropped out, or it's either just started reading 0 or like 5 watts for some reason. I've gone through the whole calibration thing, and it's still no better. It works for a little while, then it doesn't work. I haven't got the time and like the capacity to source another crank-based power meter or try and source it properly. It's sort of, I've lost my trust in it until I can actually properly investigate it. So what I have done is fitted some Wahoo PowerLink Zero pedals. I use speed play pedals on the race bike. That's why I wanted to go to a crank-based power meter. I know these are reliable. They sync up every time. They read the power every time. I don't know what the differences are between the two power meters in terms of numbers, but I'm not going to be pushing a whole load of power during the race, so I don't think the differences will be too large, and I have ridden it a couple of times with those power meter pedals on. I'm not obsessed with power during the ride, to be honest. I'm a big believer in ride to how you feel, but it is good to have the numbers there more than anything to hold you back in the first hour or two, because everybody feels good at the beginning of a race and not many people feel good at the end of a race, and I'd quite like to feel good at the end of the race. Saddle-wise is a Pro Stealth saddle. I've learned to love this, to be honest. I didn't get on with it at first, but I stuck with it throughout winter, and I now feel a lot better on it. I think I've just sort of got used to it, and my position has changed ever so slightly. And then spares bag behind the saddle, pretty standard stuff in there. I've got a multi-tool, I've got a spare tube, a couple of CO2s, I've got an ETAP battery, a spare chain link, those sorts of things. I'd probably go overboard on spares, to be honest, but I want to, if you want to finish first you've got to finish, right? So that's my plan. And I think that is about it for my bike spec. Obviously it's a rim brake, long live the rim brake. I'm not against disc brake bikes, but I'm against how much money bikes are at the minute. And yeah, that is it. That was my Felt IA1. Please do feel free to let me know any comments down below. Hopefully this goes fairly fast in Roth, and I will see you again soon.